To err is human, but to persist in error is diabolical, wrote the Roman philosopher Seneca. Yet, in today's world, the errors that persist are often in our own minds, nagging doubts that cling to us long after we've left the house. Picture this. You're halfway to work when suddenly you're gripped by a thought. Did I leave the stove on? Panic sets in. You mentally retrace your steps, but the more you try to remember, the more uncertain you become. This common experience, whether it involves the stove, lights, or locking the door, is something many of us have faced. Why does it seem like our minds betray us at the worst possible moments? The answer lies not in carelessness, but in the intricate workings of our brains. These moments of uncertainty are shaped by memory quirks, cognitive biases, and even evolutionary instincts that once kept us safe. Let's explore the psychology behind why your brain makes you doubt whether you turned off the stove. Evolution has shaped our brains to be hyper-vigilant about threats. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors lived in environments fraught with danger, where forgetting to secure food or shelter could mean life or death. Over time, the brain evolved mechanisms to prioritize safety, especially in situations involving potential harm. Fast forward to today, and while the threats have changed, think burning the house down instead of being hunted, our brains still operate on the same survival instinct. According to Dr. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel laureate in psychology, the brain operates on two systems. System 1, fast, automatic thinking, and System 2, slower, more deliberate thinking. When you leave the house, System 1 is responsible for ensuring routine tasks like locking the door or turning off appliances, while System 2 can step in for more complex or novel tasks. However, if you're distracted or stressed, System 1 might not fully process these actions, leading to doubts later. This is why, despite locking the door, you may not recall doing it. Memory plays a critical role in these post-departure worries. Researchers have found that the brain tends to forget routine tasks because they become so automatic. In one study conducted at the University of Illinois, participants were asked to perform both routine and novel tasks. They found that individuals were more likely to forget routine actions, such as locking a door, compared to novel actions. This is largely because routine behaviors are encoded in what's known as procedural memory, the same type of memory that allows you to ride a bike or tie your shoes without thinking. Procedural memory, though efficient, can fail to generate strong conscious memories of mundane tasks. In the absence of a strong recollection, the brain questions whether the task was completed, hence the post-departure anxiety. On the other hand, tasks that require active thinking or are slightly different from the norm trigger declarative memory, which allows for stronger, more vivid recollections. A study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology reinforces this. It found that participants who were distracted or in a hurry were more likely to doubt whether they completed routine tasks like locking a door or turning off a stove. In essence, when your brain is preoccupied, it doesn't properly file the memory, leading to that nagging feeling of uncertainty later. Stress and anxiety exacerbate these memory lapses. When the mind is burdened by stress, whether from work, personal life, or other concerns, it reduces the brain's ability to focus on the present moment. Research by the American Psychological Association has shown that stress impairs working memory, which is responsible for holding and processing new information. In fact, high stress can lead to a 12 to 15% reduction in working memory capacity, making it harder for individuals to recall even recent actions. Anxiety compounds the problem. Psychologists have found that people who tend to be anxious or perfectionistic are more likely to experience repetitive doubts about whether they completed certain tasks. This can lead to repetitive checking behaviors, commonly associated with obsessive-compulsive tendencies. For instance, a study published in Behavior Research and Therapy found that individuals with higher anxiety levels were more likely to repeatedly check whether they'd completed tasks, such as turning off appliances, even when they had. At the neurological level, the brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and attention, plays a key role in these experiences. This region helps us evaluate whether something is a threat and keeps track of ongoing tasks. However, when we're in a rush or distracted, the prefrontal cortex is overloaded, making it harder to register mundane actions, like turning off the stove. Simultaneously, the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, is responsible for storing and retrieving memories. Under stress, the hippocampus may struggle to retrieve short-term memories, like whether you switched off an appliance. This failure in retrieval, rather than the action itself, leads to that creeping feeling of doubt. In fact, researchers at Stanford University found that individuals under high levels of stress were up to 40% more likely to experience memory lapses for routine actions. Another key player is cognitive bias, particularly the negativity bias. Our brains are hardwired to pay more attention to potential threats than neutral or positive information. This bias serves a protective function, but can also amplify worries about everyday tasks. When you're unsure whether you turned off the stove, your brain magnifies the potential negative outcome, fire, destruction, etc., causing that persistent sense of unease. Additionally, the phenomenon of catastrophizing can play a role. Psychologist Albert Ellis describes catastrophizing as a cognitive distortion where individuals jump to worst-case scenarios. In the context of leaving home, you may quickly spiral from, "Did I leave the stove on?" to, "My house could burn down." This irrational escalation of worry, rooted in cognitive bias, exacerbates the anxiety around simple doubts. Interestingly, modern technology can both alleviate and aggravate these anxieties. With smart home devices, you can now check whether your lights are off or your doors are locked with a quick glance at your phone. These technological solutions may seem like an answer to our everyday doubts, but they can also increase reliance on external validation, further weakening our ability to trust our memory. In fact, psychologists warn that over-reliance on these technologies can create a feedback loop of doubt. When we constantly check whether the stove is off via an app, we reduce the brain's natural ability to confirm tasks internally, reinforcing the belief that we can't trust our memory. A study conducted by the Pew Research Center found that 63% of people who regularly use smart home devices still experience doubts, showing that technology doesn't completely solve the issue. While it's unlikely you'll ever eliminate post-departure doubts completely, there are strategies backed by psychology that can help mitigate the anxiety. Cognitive behavioral techniques, such as mindfulness, encourage individuals to be more present during routine tasks. Practicing mindfulness has been shown to improve working memory and attention, helping you stay aware of whether you turned off the stove. Developing a checklist routine can also help. By consciously checking off tasks, mentally or physically, you reinforce the memory and create a stronger neural connection. A study by Harvard University found that individuals who used checklists for routine tasks were 25% less likely to experience doubts after leaving home. Additionally, reducing stress through techniques such as meditation, regular exercise, and proper sleep hygiene can have a profound impact on memory and attention, decreasing the likelihood of post-departure worries. A balanced lifestyle allows your brain to operate optimally, ensuring better focus during routine actions. The feeling that you've left the stove on or the door unlocked is a universal experience, rooted in the complexities of memory, stress, and cognitive bias. It's a reminder that while our brains are remarkable, they're not infallible. By understanding the psychological and neurological mechanisms behind these doubts, we can begin to manage them more effectively. The next time you wonder whether you left the stove on, remember, your brain might just be playing a trick on you. But with the right strategies, you can trust your memory and leave the house with peace of mind.